Hello everybody, Bob's the 1984 back again, and today I'm going to do my answers to the questions and answers video I asked you to post questions last week in a video. If you wanted to find out some things about me, ask me questions about anything that was really open, you could have asked me absolutely anything in this world and I would have answered it. I've got a selection of questions. I've got 7 questions in total, so I'm going to answer them all now, and hopefully you'll get the answer that you wanted. The first question was from somebody called the Inverted Wolf. Thanks very much for putting a question through. Your question was, are you Mr Jenks' friend? Well, no, I don't know Mr Jenks personally. I met him through doing YouTube, and this was about 4 or 5 months ago, maybe less, I don't know, because we've got a mutual interest in doing FIFA career mode videos, and we all met through a group chat sort of thing. Mr Jenks done a few banners for me, as you've probably noticed if you've looked around my channel, and gradually we just talked more and talked more and talked more about FIFA and things like that, and decided to do a show together, which we do every week on Mr Jenks' channel called the MJ and Bob Show. So go and check it out. But to answer your question, no, I'm not personally friends with Mr Jenks. However, I do consider it to be one of the best people who I have met through YouTube, and he does do some fantastic content as well. So if you want to go and check him out, I do recommend you do so if you haven't already done so. The next question is actually from Mr Jenks. So the question would be, if you could travel to any place in the world, where would you go? Now, my favourite place to go, I've been 3 times, is Las Vegas. The place is absolutely unbelievable. But the answer to that particular question would be, I'd love to do a tour across America, in terms of take some time off work, go and travel to all of the places I'd like to see in America, do from west coast to east. It doesn't matter how long it takes, it just doesn't matter how much it costs. That's my ideal trip, and I would love to do it one day, hopefully when the MJ and Bob Show makes some money. Next question was from NA360112RG. That is some hell of a username, kidder. But the question is, which is your favourite team other than Newcastle? Now, my favourite team, obviously it's plastered all over my channel, is Newcastle United, for my sins. But I do also support Real Madrid. I don't support any other team in England, so to say. I do follow the smaller teams around me, such as Gateshead, Blythe Spartans. I know them two hate each other, but I like to see them both do well. Things like that. But I don't actually have another team that I follow in England, like properly. But I do kind of have a support for Real Madrid. I've always preferred Real Madrid over Barcelona. Always been the same. It's not because of Ronaldo and Messi and all that shit. But yeah, probably the answer to your question would be Real Madrid. Next up is a question from Shamalamalad, and he's actually asked 2 questions. You've been a bit sly, but I'll allow it. Who is your favourite ever Irish football player? Now, this one's pretty easy, to be honest, because obviously, as Shamalamalad knows, I am a massive Newcastle fan. I don't know if anybody knows that, but I am. So the most obvious one would be our legendary former Irish goalkeeper, Shea Given. I think that is a pretty given, there's the pun, a pretty given choice for that kind of question to ask a Newcastle fan. But he was a fantastic goalkeeper, still is, and still can do a job, as he's still playing around for Stoke. But yeah, definitely Shea Given. Years of service for Newcastle. I was disappointed to see him leave, but completely understood his reasons for it. Now, the other question from Shamalam was, what's your favourite Easter egg? Now, I take it this question was asked because I put the video out on Easter Sunday. But my favourite Easter egg, I really don't have one. But if we're going to go for type of chocolate, it would have to be Galaxy. Next question is from MelvZJ, or MelvsJ, if you want to correct us on how to pronounce your name. The question is, waffles or pancakes? Now, I'm not really a massive fan of either, to be honest, but if I had to pick one, it would have to be pancakes, and you'd have to cover the bastard in maple syrup. Next question is from Underrated Gamer. Now, this was quite an interesting one for me to answer, because I didn't really understand how he wanted me to answer the question. if it was a Newcastle 11 or, you know, things like that. But I've decided to do an all-time, any club, any player kind of 11, and a current one. So his question was, what would your all-time 11 be, and what is your current 11? P.S. Lampard has to be in it. Now, I didn't know if you wanted Lampard in both, so I have actually went and put Lampard in both. I always have been a fan of Frankie Lamps. I think he's been a fantastic player. You know, all the goals he scored for Chelsea, you cannot not recognise talent like that. But anyway, I'm going to do my all-time top 11. So here it is. Me goalkeeper would be Schmeichel. Reason for that is he was absolutely fantastic in the Premier League. Obviously, I've been a fan of the Premier League since, obviously, the inception, 92, 93. I am 31 years old, so I am old enough to remember that season. And all through, you know, obviously the challenges that Newcastle had in the Premier League, Schmeichel was always the best. I'll always remember Schmeichel as well. So my back four would be Cafu at right back, left back of Roberto Carlos, centre backs of Nesta and Cannavaro. Now, Nesta and Cannavaro were brilliant in terms of when you watch the Italian side. They didn't. I don't know if they played too often because of Maldini, but I always had a soft spot for Nesta and then always had a soft spot for Cannavaro. Nesta and Cannavaro were my favourite two to sign on the old Championship Manager, so that's probably had an impact on why I've picked them. Carlos, purely because he played for Real Madrid for 2 years and he was a legend, and Cafu, he was always a legend. No matter how old he was, he still had an engine and he could run as fast as fuck all the time. Now midfield, right midfield as Figo. I think Figo was an absolute genius. Anything he did was fantastic. Obviously made that jump from Barca to Real. Had a much better career at Real. Ginola for my left midfielder. Again, this is purely down to Newcastle United. But I've never seen anybody look so finesse and so unreal with his touch, his crossing, and even when he played for Spurs, he was fantastic. Obviously, centre midfielder of Frank Lampard. I don't know where that came from, but he's paired with Paul Scholes. You know, that could have picked so many other players, but Paul Scholes for me was an absolute genius on the ball. In a front two of Alan Shearer. I mean, how weird was I going to pick anybody else? And Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry was an absolute maestro in the Premier League. Fantastic player. Now, my current 11 is probably going to cause some controversy, but to be honest, there's so many players I could put in, so many players that, you know, that I probably shouldn't be there, but this is what I've put. Goalkeeper of Neuer, I think he's great. He's you know, he's just a fantastic German goalkeeper. I like the way he's a sweeper keeper as well. Back four of Alves, Marcelo, Ramos, and Chiellini. Ramos, you know, he's a legend. Real Madrid, obviously. Marcelo, I'm not. There's a choice between him and Alba, but or Alaba, but I've gone for Marcelo just because he plays for Real Madrid. And Chiellini, I think he's an absolute beast, and you just wouldn't mess with the fucker, would you really? Midfield, right, it's got to be Arjen Robben. I think he's still class. He always has been, and he has got that aura about him where you're just not going to beat him. Left mid, it's got to be Neymar. Fantastic. Does anything need to be said? Centre midfielder of that legend of Frankie Lampard again. And he's partnered with Iniesta. He's still a genius. He might be getting on, but he's still a genius. And obviously the top two is Messi and Ronaldo. You can't really pick anybody else. There's an argument maybe Suarez could get in there, but it's got to be the top two. I hope that answers your question. I don't know if I've done it how you've asked it, but that's basically what I would have picked anyway. And the final question in this video was again from Mr Jenks, and the question was a bit of a cheeky one. I don't know how to answer it, but it's what percentage cut would you like to take when the MJ and Bob show starts raking in the cash? Now, we did a video the other day with Adam Plays, and Adam had the cheek to say that we were going to be the next Ant and Dec. I'm not sure about that because he's not Geordie, Mr Jenks, but you know. What percentage of the cut? I don't know. What cut would you give me? That's the answer to the question. But anyway, I'm having fun doing the video with you, mate. But that's it. That's my Q&A. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had fun doing it. I've answered the questions as best I can. But my name is Bobster1984. Please stick around for the newest videos that's going to be on my channel. And thanks very much for subscribing. My name is Bobster, as I've already said. See you all later.